I'm Marla Adelsberger, and I want to welcome you guys to the first in this series of the Parent Discussion Series. Parent Discussion Series is, if you've gotten the brochure, there's a variety of topics focused on your children, on the college process, on adolescent development, on just a whole variety of topics. We try to provide things that are useful and informative to parents, and we're really open to suggestions from all of you on topics that you'd like to see that you don't. But they're offered throughout the year. The final one for this year is Parents Weekend, and we try to set them up at times when parents will be on campus already to make it easy for you guys. Before we go ahead, just curious, show of hands, how many of you are parents of new students? Oh, perfect. Okay, so well, you're a parent of a new student and returning. So look around for a second, because these are the folks that your children are going to be getting to know well. You'll be seeing each other at the parent auction on Parents Weekend. You will your children will be ringing the bell together at graduation. You'll be here at prom taking pictures. So you all are going to see each other and hopefully get to know. Sporting events, you're going to see each other. So hopefully you'll be getting to know each other really well too, and developing a support system here. For a lot of families, this is the first time that your child is going to school with kids that you don't know their families, and that can be a bit of an adjustment. We'll be talking about that as we go through as well. I want to just introduce Jen Cordes, who is a parent of a new student and returning and graduate, and Jen has been a parent representative on the Parent Discussion Series and Parent Association for a few years. And she is making room for Kelly Tassoni, who's in the back, who is also the parent of a new 9th grader. And we're grateful to have Jen and her husband Dave having done this for a while. And we're really happy to welcome Kelly as well. So it's great having you with both hats as faculty member and as a parent. So we're going to be talking, each of us on the Student Life team, we're going to be talking about what our roles are, and give you guys lots of opportunity to ask us questions as well. So,
sure. I think I've met most of you. I'm Greg Lynch. I'm the Dean of Students. I've been in Suffield for 15 years, and I'm just starting my 12th year in this position. I work closely with Liz and Nate Zwerka, who's not here. He's at a wedding, unfortunately, today. Fortunate for the wedding, unfortunately, he's not here. Never know what you're going to say. Again, wanted to welcome you guys here. Our role in the role of our office is really things outside the classroom. And so we oversee student life. That's weekend programming, clubs, activities, things that happen in school that is not academics. Our offices are located in the Union, and we're front and center. So if you're looking for us, we're that whole wall of offices that has all windows, so we can watch kids during the day. Sort of like a zoo. I don't know who's in the zoo, whether it's us in the cages or them out there. But again, looking back and forth, that's by design. We wanted to be close to students. We wanted to have good oversight over students. We wanted to see what they're doing. We want to make sure they can see us, so that we're all visible. We work really directly with students often, everything from absences or tardies, like if they miss class or they're late to class, things like that, through if they're out of dress code, how to manage that. We're a good stop for kids if they're confused or lost or don't know where else to go. They can always come to us and we can help out. And again, we're looking at over all of student life. So we oversee residential life, dorm life, what happens in the dorms, or dorm parents, dorm programming, dorm activities, dorm outings. We oversee clubs and activities, and all of that goes with that. Student council, it falls under us as well, and so you'll be hearing from our student council leaders as the year goes on about major events that we're planning and fundraising that we're doing for charities. And I'll talk a little bit about that after. So again, it's really life outside the classroom is what we see. We also deal with discipline, student conduct, issues like that. So if you have questions about that later, I'm happy to talk about our philosophy, how we work, how it does work. I know your kids are perfect and will never be in trouble, but in the off chance that they are and you have questions about our school philosophy, I'm happy to talk about that. We try to work in partnership with parents as much as possible. We want to hear from you. We want you to call us. We want to be connected with you. If you have concerns or questions, we do want to work with you. And that certainly all of us in my office would be very, very happy to do that at any point. And again, this is sort of a brief overview, and we'll talk about some different topics coming up. But next is Liz Warren.
Hi everyone, I'm Liz Warren. This is I've been at Suffield now for 9 years, but I've been working here 8 years. Our first year I took a year off when we first started having children, and we never really stopped. We have 4 little boys. Our oldest is 8, and we have twins who just turned 2 this summer. So, but like like Greg said, I do work with him in the Dean of Students office, coordinating our weekend activities. In addition to that, I'm also a diversity coordinator on campus, and also the 10th grade leadership service project coordinator. I coordinate a lot of things. And so basically I'm here as another support system for your students, and throughout the weekends we try to provide fun and different activities for them. Tonight we have an outdoor movie, kind of like a drive-in, a huge blow-up screen happening. Tomorrow there's a big mall trip for the students to go on. And every weekend something different, something new, something fun and exciting, that sort of thing. And so, you know, I'm there with Greg and Nate and helping take care of each other.
Hi, I'm Linda Kaplan. I'm the Director of Health Services. I've been here for 14 years and past 3 years as the director. I, like you, am a parent. I have a senior and I've had 2 older children graduate, so I can speak from both sides of the fence here. We are located at the center of the bottom of Rockwell Hall, and I'm not sure if you want me to go through my whole spiel now or just wait.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Gave you a little handout regarding the health center, and we are located at the bottom of Rockwell Dorm. I'm just curious, are there any parents here of boarders, or are you all, okay, so we do have both. Good. Okay. We have the capability to house 10 kids at any given time in the health center, and we have had that many, never overnight 10 kids, but we do have kids come for various reasons during the day, for anything from minor illnesses to emotional breakdowns to you name it, they come, and we're happy to have them. We also do have a physician that comes to our school every Friday morning. He's been our medical director since I've been here, and I'm not really sure how long prior to that he was the medical director, but his name is Dr. Ross Porter, and he is a pediatrician in Enfield. He comes every Friday morning and has office hours where we slot boarders into we schedule boarders for that time. And we also, during the week, do send kids over to his office if it's something that can't wait till Friday. So we have a very good working relationship with Dr. Porter. We have, in the health center, you can see what our hours are. And when we are not open, we are always on call. So there's always a nurse on call should somebody need us. And generally the student would contact his dorm parent or an adult and call us. But on their they get little cards still, right? On their IDs, the number for the health center as well as the on-call nurse is right on there, so a student can call us as well. We have 3 full-time nurses, and myself included, and then part-time ones. I do have a nurse that focuses primarily on medications, because we do have students that take daily medications, and we devote a lot of time and resources to that endeavor as well. Just a couple things. We will begin flu shots in October if you've signed up for them. If you did not sign up for them, I will find you, because you all had to go online and do Magnus. The health forms were all are housed on an online database called Magnus Healthcare, and all of you participated in that this summer. So if you did not click off yes or no, you will be contacted to tell me yes or no, and you still have time to change your mind. I appreciate all of you that did go on and upload forms. I know it can be a daunting task, especially if you have other children. Oh my gosh, more health forms to fill out. Didn't I already give my address and phone number to the business office? Why do I have to give it again to the health center? Well, they're separate forms, and we try to keep the healthcare data separate from other data because there is health information. We try to keep that separate. So, students are not allowed to have prescription medications in their room unless they have come and showed us what they are or have talked with a parent. There are things that we do allow in the room, but there are medications, a whole class of them, that we do not. So, if you have questions about that, I'm happy to answer that. We have a medication nurse, as I said, and she does go up to the student union every morning to pass out medications to make it more convenient for the students, because it's right underneath the dining hall. And our aim is to get the students up to breakfast and hopefully come get their medication then. So if your child becomes ill during the day and needs to go home, if you're a day parent, we will call you and notify you. Even if they drive, if they're 16 or 17, they have their license and they say, well, I can go home, we notify the parents just to make sure you know and that that's okay. If you are boarders and I send your child to a doctor, you will be notified. And certainly if there's any emergencies, you're notified right away. If your child is sick during the day, the procedure actually is to call, and you're a day student and your child's not feeling well, it's not going to come to school, the procedure is to notify the Dean of Students office. So they can record the absence and get the absences out to the faculty. So our major method of communication with your child is email. That's how we tell them that we need to see them in the health center for whatever. Come down and get your flu shot, or come down and want to check your blood pressure for whatever reason. So we use that a lot, and we hope your child reads their email every day. I think that's pretty much it in the school. I think our major method of communication is email. And I think that's it for now, but I'm sure you'll have questions and probably,
This is my very first boarding student, and that was really helpful. I want to make sure that I got it right.
Yep.
Because I think it's really good. So if my student gets sick over the winter and goes, she's a boarder, and she goes to see you and she has a fever, either she'll just need some regular cold medicine, which you have in the office, and we'll give her.
yes.
But then if she were, say she needed antibiotics or a strep test, you transport her to the doctor
Correct.
and they will give her the medication? So-
Sometimes. It depends on the situation. In the scenario you just described, we probably would do the strep test here ourselves, and we would start on antibiotics because we do have some standing orders. We're unlike the public schools in that we have a whole series of standing orders. So I don't have to call a parent to ask, can I give a Tylenol, or can I give your child has a headache. I'm sure you've all gotten the calls, or they'll say, I can't give your child an Advil, if they have a headache. But we have a whole, we have standing protocols, standing nursing protocols. So we do have strep, the real common things that we see a lot, like strep throat, conjunctivitis, swimmer's ear, those kinds of things I have standing orders for, so wouldn't necessarily have to take them to the doctor for that. But other things like bronchitis, sinus infections, those kinds of things, they would go to the doctor for. And if, depending on the time of the week, the student developed the problem, if it was Thursday and they were stable to wait until Friday, I could slot them in Friday, or we may call Dr. Porter's office and drive them over that day. I have never called Dr. Porter's office and then not be able to take our students, so we are priority for him, so.
And you can get the children from here to there.
What's
You
that?
can get the children from here to there, or do we need to?
Oh, no, we transport them. Yeah, we transport them. We have right now, we have one dedicated driver. I am looking for another driver because sometimes it's hard, you know, when you have a lot of stuff going on. But we'll transport your student over there, your child over there and back and get the medications. We have all your insurance information. That's why we ask for all that stuff. So we have it right there. You don't have to provide it to the doctor, we provide it. You don't have to provide it to the pharmacy, we provide it. So that's why we collect all that data at the beginning of the year, so we have everything right there. And actually with our Magnus program, it's a touch of a button, all that insurance information goes right there by the computer, so it's really kind of convenient. But so that's what would happen. If you know, if your child got sick and I sent them today, I might not notify you until they get back from the doctor. So I have more information to tell you. But certainly, if there was a scenario where your child had to go to the hospital in an emergency situation, say they got injured on the athletic field and maybe we don't know the difference if it's a sprain or a break, and we want to get an x-ray, and we'll call you right away and let you know that we're transporting. Depending on where you live, you know, I have some parents that live in Massachusetts that aren't that far away, or in Connecticut that aren't that far away, but yet are borders. They may say, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to come and do it. But for the most part, we do the transportation. So.
And just if your son or daughter is going to the hospital and is going to be there for an extended period of time, we would ask you to come, if possible, for you to go to the hospital and spend time with them. So, you know, if you're from sort of New York to Boston, we probably expect that you would come to the hospital. If they're going to be admitted, be there overnight with them, or at least be in contact with the hospital for that.
You would want to do that anyway.
We do from here, if we're sending your child to an emergency room, we send a faculty member with your child to be with your child while they're in the emergency room so that they're not alone.
This is a student parent question. If I get a text from my son in the middle of the day that says, Mom, I feel awful, I can't make it, what do I tell him to do?
Well, you have the option of, if he can't go to class, then he either has to come to the health center or you would come and pick him up, but you would need to notify somebody that
That's
you
my
were
question.
doing
If
that.
I say, okay, I'll come get you, I know.
You should call the Dean of Students office,
Okay.
yeah. I would encourage him always to go to the health center. Why don't you take a walk down to the health center, let's see what they can do, let's have them check you out and see, is it a bad headache and they can help you, is it a cold, or are you really dying to eat? Like,
And sometimes they are, and they just want to go home, and that's fine. We'll call you and say, you know, can you come?
But sometimes if they can rest just during the free period, just put their feet up a little bit, they're good to go for the next class.
And we have a lot of that too. People will just come and say, I have a really bad headache, or I'll give them something, they'll lie down for a little bit, and then they'll get up and go on their way for the rest of their classes. So that scenario happens. The one thing I did want to mention for the parents of boarders, if your child is ill during the day and they don't feel well, they can't stay in their room. They have to come to the health center. They're expected to be at their commitment or in the health center, not in their rooms. So I would encourage them to come to the health center if they're sick.
Regarding that, did you let them know that they need to go to the health center if they're not feeling well?
I have not met all of them.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Well, I didn't know if you did like a community.
Yeah,
type
yeah.
all that was, they went over all that in the
Okay.
dorm meetings.
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, all that would have
Okay.
been done in dorm meetings that
Okay.
night.
And then the other thing, as far as the hospital, should they, possibly break something or whatever, have to go, go somewhere?
Yeah.
What's the hospital that you send them to?
Generally, I send them to, and again, depending on the age, but generally I send them to Connecticut Children's in
Okay.
Hartford, unless a parent has told me otherwise. And I have had parents tell me from Massachusetts they prefer to go to Bay State, and I get that. And unless it's a life-threatening emergency, the ambulance crew will take them wherever we say to take them. But in a life-threatening emergency, which they'll take them wherever they want to take them. So, I have used in the off hours, like on a weeknight or weekend, for minor athletic injuries that I just feel like needs an x-ray. I will use an urgent care center. There is one in Enfield. It just is a whole lot quicker for everybody involved than having to go to the emergency room and sit there for hours if they're busy just to get an x-ray kind of thing. So I do use the urgent care center in Enfield as well. So.
Thank you.
I suspect more questions will
That's-
pop
and
up
that's
also,
fine,
so,
yeah.
great.
Very
I'm Marla Adelsberger. This is actually my 16th year here. My daughter was here, graduated in class of 2010, graduated from Tufts 2 years ago. She is gainfully employed and off our health insurance, so life is pretty good in our household, so, and in her own place as well, so all good. Counseling services, the counseling department is located very close to the health center, but downstairs from the music building. So when students are upstairs practicing, if they've been playing for a little while, it's lovely. If they're beginners, it gets a little bit repetitious, but we kind of go with it. We, mostly we enjoy hearing the students practicing upstairs. And kids like, I think, that we're in a building away from the center of campus. It gives them a sense of privacy. They can come down, we get to look out on the playing fields, and they can kind of go back and resume what they're doing. We meet with students throughout the academic day during their free periods. Occasionally students don't have much for free periods. We'll meet them in the afternoon. We try very hard for regular appointments with students to not pull them out of any commitments. We want them to be involved. We want them to be in their day. And we'll find a time to see them. The counseling offices are open between 8 and 4:30 during academic and sports times. And like the health center and the dean of students office, there's someone on call all the time. So again, if your child is boarding and there's a situation where you're really worried about their emotional well-being, they can call the counselor on call, or you certainly can as well. And one of the three of us in the counseling department always has it with us. Kids come into counseling for a variety of reasons. I think any of the things you think that adolescents could be dealing with, we help them in some fashion. At this time of year, it's predominantly just adjusting to being at a boarding school. But it's whatever. Sometimes the kids have faced losses that get re-triggered at different times. We're here to help and support them. We are offering a transitions group for new students, which meets during a conference period at the end of the day. And it's available to day students and boarders. And I'm happy to say we have both day students and boarders attending. And we have mentors and proctors bringing kids that they feel like would benefit from it. We've just had our first meeting Thursday. We'll have another one next week and continue on as long as there's students interested in that. We will meet, the three of us who are on the regular staff, Christy, Heather, and myself, the counseling services are part of what we offer here, the same as the student's office and the health center. If a child ends up meeting with our consultant psychologist, and he will generally see students where there's a more perhaps complicated learning profile. He sees kids on a private practice arrangement, but his office is with us as well. And we can see kids for 1 or 2 times if that's useful. We can see them throughout their time here if that benefits them. But it's really lovely because there's no insurance pressure to end after a certain number of sessions. We get referrals from we work very closely with the health center. Linda and her nurses are terrific. A child comes in and they have a vague complaint of a headache, and Linda or one of her staff will say, "And how's it going in the dorm?" or "How's it going?" And if the lip starts to quiver and the eyes well up, they've got some important information. We also work very closely with the dean of students office. There are times, this will not apply to any of your children, but there are times that kids get into trouble with a discipline situation. They would be referred to the counseling office, and we'll work with them as they work their way out of being in trouble. Let's see. Any student can come and ask for counseling services. It's common for parents to say, "My child saw a counselor in their old school and that was really helpful. Can you continue?" Advisors are, and we'll talk more about the advisor program, but advisors are typically your first contact if you have questions and you want to share or want to know about what's going on in your child's life. But certainly contact us. We work with advisors to be able to provide that sort of circle of support and a safety net for each of your children. So sometimes a little bit homesick can be dealt with easily or relatively easily in a dorm. The proctors may spend time with the child, the dorm parents may. If it goes beyond that, then we're really happy to get involved in working with your child. So sometimes parents contact us, Linda might, Greg might, Liz might, proctors might say, I'm worried about someone in my dorm. Kids bring their friends down, which I really consider high praise. To me, that says a lot when a student says to me, I've talked with you, Mrs. Adelsberger, and I think you've been helpful, and I think you could be helpful to my friend. I feel like, oh, we're getting it. So I think that's great. We also do, and you've probably just gotten letters about responsible relationships, a sexual education program. And that will be starting up in a couple of weeks. You'll see on the parents' listserv, you'll see emails, you'll see the notices that go to students, and you'll see the parent notices as well on when they are. So for day students of sophomores, there's one evening program for girls, and there's a separate evening program for boys. For 11th graders, there's an evening meeting and we have several dates that they can choose from. For 9th graders, the programming, as the letter said, takes place within their leadership classes, in their dorms. A lot of adults are kind of giving information and sharing information, but the additional programming takes place for 10th and 11th grade. The programming that all students are expected to attend takes place in the evening for 10th graders, one evening, and for 11th graders. I think that's it. If your child is coming for counseling, we will let you know about that. Most of the time, kids want us to be talking to parents. They may script for me to say, well, I want you to tell my mom this, and I'm happy to. And they are allowed confidentiality of the content of what they're saying, but it's important for you to know what they're dealing with and what they're struggling with. And as I said, most of the time, kids want you to be part of that process in some way. So it's not secretive, and generally, you know if they're struggling. That's not a secret either. That's all. But we work with coaches, we work with dorm parents. As I said, it's really across the board. It's really a very collaborative. And that's what I love.
Marla talked a little bit about advisors, and I think those are certainly important people in your son and daughter's life, and it's a role that we all take very seriously as well. The advisor should be sort of a point person for you, someone that you should be in contact with pretty regularly about what's happening at school, what we're seeing in regards to your son or daughter, what they're experiencing. It's a great place to start if you have questions about academics. How are they doing? How are they feeling? This seems to be hard for them. Can you check in with them? And that's really our role, is to reach out, to get connected with each of those students that we look out for. And to make sure that we have a good relationship with them. It's also important to us that we have a good relationship with you, and I often tell parents that relationship between you and the advisor is just as important as it is between your child and the advisor, because you need to feel comfortable with who those people are, who's looking out for your kid, what they're telling them, how are you working, how are they connected. And so please be in touch with the advisor if you can. And again, email's a great way. Again, boarding school people, we lead busy lives. We're in and out of our classrooms, we're in and out of our apartments, we're in and out of our offices, so email is always a safe way to get us. If you need to call, certainly do that as well. But that's an important program for us. Most people have between sort of 4 and 7 or 4 and 8 advisees that they're seeing. We see them at least once a week during our chapel program. We all sit together at chapel. But most people would see them much more than that. I probably see most of mine every day. They sort of swing by and say hello, or they bump into you somewhere, or we get notes from teachers letting us know, wow, they're struggling with this homework, they didn't do this homework last night, it's been a pattern for 2 nights, can you check in with them? So we're getting a lot of information from teachers and our parents here, and so we're happy to share that with you as well. So if you do have worries or concerns, you should ask.
Do they stay with the same advisor for their whole tenure there?
They can.
They can. So we assigned everyone over the summer, all these students over the summer, in ways that we thought would make sense. And again, it's sort of, we have information from admissions, and we know our faculty, and we sort of sit in a room and we say, well, this seems like this would be a good match. We look at the content of the groups, like who else is in this group, is this a good group for this child? We try to pair people up so we're not only like one 9th grader here, or one new senior here. We try to be thoughtful about it. It usually works about 90% of the time. Hopefully you're all part of that 90%. If you're not, please let me know. I'm happy to help you figure this out. Students will have a chance to change. We ask them to try to spend that first year with who they've been assigned to. They have a chance to switch in the spring. They'll have an online form they'll fill out, and then they would be able to choose who they want to work with moving forward. If the relationship really is not good, or it really isn't working for you or for them, please be in touch with me, and I can help navigate through where people can go from there. But they have the option to change. Most kids usually stay, though, I would say.
So if they want to stay, they can.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We want them to. We get sad when they leave us. You know, put a lot of time and energy into like building these relationships. They're like, oh yeah, I like this other one better. You're like, oh, all right. You know.
Well, and sometimes, they'll get to know a coach particularly well or a dorm parent, get really attached to that person, and that's fine. But yeah, it's like, oh, really? You want to leave?
One of the things I like to mention is our student council. It's led by seniors, and we have sort of 4 designated leaders that are voted on in the spring. It's a president, vice president, a boarding rep, and a day student rep. Also involved in student council would be our international student president, our international student organization president, as well as class president. So each class also has leadership within their classes, and they attend as well. The focus of the past 3 or 4 years has really been fundraising, where the school has chosen a charity that aligns with our school theme. This year our theme is service. So try to choose a charity that falls in line with that theme, and then we raise money in 3 or 4 major events throughout the year. We've raised anywhere from $45,000 to $60,000 depending on the year in the charity, and this is really student driven and student organized. And so we're really excited about that. You'll be getting some letters from the leaders at some point, alerting you to what these events are, encouraging you to participate in different ways. We certainly want you to be here for the events if you want to be. We have a telethon, which is live streamed out, which is great to watch. We'd encourage you to watch that. I think Jerry Lewis, but Suffield style. So it's a lot of fun to do. And this year their main goal is to work on a music festival in the spring, which is a new event for us. We'll see how that goes. We've already started working on it, so we're pretty excited about that. So again, they like to have concrete things to work on, things to do, and so this year we're starting the charity selection process on Tuesday night at Student Council. So if you're involved in something, if your son or daughter's involved in something that you think would be great, please encourage them to come to Student Council on Tuesday. They've heard about it, they've gotten emails about it, and there's several kids and groups of kids who are already pretty excited about what we could do with things that they've been connected to. So if you do have someone who's connected to a charity, please let us know and tell them to come to Student Council and present. So we'll do a presentation on Tuesday night, and then by the end of the week they'll do an all-school vote, and we should know by the end of next week sort of where our efforts are going this year. Past years were to Circle of Care, which is the pediatric cancer support program, which supports parents whose children have cancer or are going through the process. The year before that was Spouts of Water, which raised money for providing sustainable clean water filters for schools in Uganda, which was a student had worked with them over the summer and presented that. And our first year was Hearts of the Father Outreach, which is an orphanage in Ghana who was started by alums of ours who groups of kids had gone to volunteer there, and they thought that would be a really great thing to do, was to raise money, and we were able to build a well there so they could have fresh water. So it's kind of cool. They do the whole process of learning about the charity, selecting the charity, and then fundraising and learning the process of. It's hard to do that. It's hard to get people motivated. How do you get people motivated? How do you keep them motivated? And so that's one of the major focuses of our student council.
Greg mentioned parents coming on campus, and we love having parents here for athletic events, for performances. Your kids may tell you you're not allowed to be in the dining room. That's not true. So if you want to come early on a Saturday, if your child has a home game, you want to come early and go into lunch, please feel free to do that. Boarding students have to check in at dinner time, and they're expected to be in their dorms and ready to start study hall at 8 o'clock. But if you Wednesdays, they don't need to check in at dinner, or Saturdays or Sundays. Great time after a game if you want to take your kids out to eat. You're not giving them to us. You're sharing them with us, and we appreciate that. We want to certainly keep that share. So please come and visit. Other questions?
Can you talk about tardies, weather-related and non-weather-related?
Sure.
day students?
Sure. If you're a day student family and your son or daughter is driving or you're driving, our policy is that since we're a boarding school and 2/3 of our kids live here, we will most likely carry on with school. In the event of inclement weather, we most likely carry on with school. There's a few times where we may have a delayed opening, so our maintenance staff can clear our sidewalks, make sure that they're safe. But most of the time, we start with school snowing. We're going to school. If you live in Suffield or another town, it's really up to you to decide whether you feel it's safe to drive into school. That's a family's decision on whether you want to drive to school or not based on the weather. So if you're feeling like, well, it may be fine in Suffield, but we got a big storm where we live, just let us know that you won't be making it due to the weather. We understand that our teachers are flexible to work around that if they need to. But we do march on with school. It's just the way we keep our community safe and we keep our community busy. And as people know with teenagers, routine is good. Surprises often lead to sort of craziness, and we're trying to keep everybody sort of moving forward. So again, it's a personal decision whether you feel safe having them drive or having you drive. I would encourage you, if the roads are snowy or wet, or you're like, oh, I don't know if they should go, or they'll probably be fine, I would encourage you to drive. Again, it's your choice, obviously, but I do worry about young, inexperienced drivers driving busy times to go to school in bad weather. So keep that in mind. Same thing. If the storm is coming and it's predicted to come, and you have a day student who'll be driving home who's driven their car here, we encourage them to leave when you feel it's important for them to leave to make it home safely, depending on the length of their drive. If you wanted to have them just leave their car here overnight and you would like to come pick them up because you feel that's safer, we would encourage that as well. Again, it's about safety for us. We certainly don't want any accidents on the road coming and going. We encourage everyone to look at the weather, keep track of the weather, and follow through.
Can I say something about tardies?
Sure. So I guess I didn't get to the point, which is if they're coming in late because of the weather, they're of course excused. If your kids are coming to school late because of traffic or because they got a late start or whatever, please call us and let us know. We'll be looking for them. We want to make sure they're safe. Some parents call and say they got a late start, but that's because they didn't get up, and I'm not excusing this tardy. They're going to tell you I'm going to, and I'm not. Also fine, we love that information on that line. You want them to get out of bed and they're not getting in bed, they can go to detention on Saturdays. I mean, that's the other thing. If they're late to class 3 times, or if they miss a class, we have a detention. It's on Saturday night. Why Saturday night? It's their only free night. Certainly boarders are in study hall Sunday through Friday, 8 to 10. The only night they have off is Saturday night, so it sort of hurts to take that away. So missing a class results in a 2.5-hour detention. 3 tardies, so if you're late to class 3 times, results in, over a course of a term, results in a 2.5-hour detention. Unexcused. If they're excused, if they're in the health center, they're sick and go to the health center, that's excused. You call to say they're coming in at 10, that's excused. They're leaving for a doctor's appointment, coming back, obviously that's excused. I hope that helps.
Dress code, a request. Please have your children in dress code. Please look at them. If they're day students, please look at them when they leave the house in the morning, that they're wearing appropriate clothing. The dress code, the specific dress code is posted in the handbook. It's reviewed every year. It is up to date, as it can be. Your daughters may say to you, nobody's in dress code. That's not true. Many students are, but not all. So we really ask your help in just in supporting them coming into school in dress code. Obviously, you have no control over them changing, pulling something out of their locker once they get here. But if you at least put them in the car in dress code, we really, really appreciate that.
And it's much harder for girls than boys, we understand.
Yeah. Because apparently skirts that are long enough just aren't made. They're not manufactured. Or you parents refuse to buy them somehow. I've heard that as well. My mother won't buy me dresses that way. Really? Any other questions?
If there is a question in dress code, who do we reach out to for the girls as well?
Or, ask an advisor as well. That's a
Are there travel opportunities for June with the school? Our old school, they had a few trips that the students would elect to sign up for Puerto Rico, part of the program.
Some athletic teams will offer training trips either over a break, either over March March or February long weekend. There is a March break trip, which is a sort of educational, let's see the world kind of thing, each March, and I think you can sign up for that now. I don't remember where it's going this year.
DC, New York and DC.
That's a college counseling trip. So there's one trip that goes to Europe or they've been to South Africa. They do that. That happens every March. There's a college counseling trip specifically geared towards probably sophomores and juniors who are looking at colleges to give them a chance to get on college campuses, do tours. I think it's in DC and in Maryland, Baltimore, maybe that area. We're seeing a bunch of great schools. That's run through our college counseling office. And there are a variety of trips that are offered not necessarily consistently every year. Some for sort of community service stuff right in June, right after the school year, or maybe in March. And you'll start hearing about those, and students will start hearing about those this fall. But there isn't any sort of set trip that we do every year other than our March break trip and the college counseling.
Like students, you will get a lot of information via email. You'll have access to information about weekend activities. So if your kids say there's nothing going on campus, you can read what's posted and what Liz has got planned and what the student council has helped with. So there's always something. If school is in session, there's always things going on campus. So please check your emails as well.
Are those weekend activities open to day students as
Yeah.
well?
They are.
Absolutely.
Our weekend activities on Saturdays begin usually after our athletic contests are over, to allow everybody to get back to campus and so they can participate too. And then they're over by 10:30, 11 o'clock because our boarding students need to check back into their dorms by 11:15. So a lot of times students will stay for the activity and then go home. Sometimes they choose not to stay. They just want to go home. That's fine too. So.
Do we need to let you know if they're gonna stay and participate, or they can?
No, and some of the trips they do need to sign up for by a certain date. So whether it's like, we're offering a big trip next weekend, so they'll need to sign up for that ahead of time. And so that's how they're signing up in the conference is notifying me. So.
We encourage these students to be part of every aspect of our school. If they want to come for breakfast, they can. They want to stay for dinner, they can. They want to study, they can. We want to have, they're an important part of our school, and we want them to be here as much as they want to be.
What time do they have to leave?
11 on a Saturday night, 11. I mean, all the boarders, we sort of close the evening at 11. All the boarders are sort of shuffled down to their dorms at that point, and that's when day students should go.
We have to stay awake till 11.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You go to sleep and you set your alarm.
Yeah.
And during the week when boarding students are in study hall, day students can be studying in the library until 10. I mean, for some kids who are day students, the only thing that distinguishes them is they don't sleep here. Which is a big change if you're used to your child coming home in the afternoons, and you think that's for you guys to sort out. But you'll hear from your kids. I want to stay for dinner. I want to be part of student council. I want to do that too. So, and some kids take a while to move towards that. I think every child is a little bit different in terms of how invested they want to be. But it works really well. Let them let you know what they like to do, and we'll put limits on it as you need to.
And during the week or during the school day, they are busy and they are moving around. And so times that are free for groups of kids who are involved in activities often is in that evening time, sort of that 5:30 to 8 slot. That's when the student council meets, that's when some of our other major organizations meet. So they may want to stay and participate in that. They eat, they go to the meeting, and then they head home. I encourage parents and families, certainly for day students, if you would like to see them more than you are, then you should set some limits for that. Like, you need to be home 2 nights a week for dinner. You can choose the nights. We're always going to have family dinner on Thursdays, and say you have to come home on Thursdays. But set some limits on them. I think that helps them and it helps you. If not, you feel frustrated, you're not getting it. I never see my kid anymore. What happened? I used to have this guy. Like, set some limits on what is right for you and what isn't right for you and your family. And everybody's a little different, so I also encourage day parents to think about, our boarders are in study hall from 8 to 10. That means they're hopefully not using their phones. A lot of dorms will collect phones. They're sitting at their desks, they're doing their work. We'd encourage you to do something similar to that at home if that's right for your family. So sit at your desk or sit at a table, do your homework from 8 to 10. Stay off your phone, don't watch TV. Sort of start instilling the same habits. again, we have a model that works, and we encourage you guys to think about how this could work for your families as well. Because some you don't really, so they're gonna say, oh no, I did all my homework from 6 to 8. Well, they probably didn't. I'm not saying that they're lying, just saying that they probably did some of their homework, and they were probably also socializing in the union. If you're wondering whether they're hanging out in the union, let us know. We'll try to track them down and figure that out. But so thinking about how you might want to structure that to make sure they're getting that, and you can wait until after you get their grades the first midterm and then decide sort of the role you want to play with that.
For kids who are boarding students, although there are activities on Sunday afternoon and the gym is open, there are things to do on campus. Sometimes kids, what they really want to do is just go to brunch and veg out and watch Netflix and hang out in their rooms. And as Greg is saying, it's a really busy week for kids. And I used to worry, like, oh my gosh, you're spending a whole Sunday not doing anything productive, but that's sometimes what they need to do. And that's whether your child's a board or a day student. It's a very packed week. It's very busy.
Do we have to notify anybody if we have a boarding student and say it's after practice or after a game and we're taking them out, but as long as we get them back by 8 o'clock? Do we have to notify
It's
somebody
helpful
that
if
we're
you-
taking them off campus?
It's helpful if you send an email or leave a message for us.
Okay.
Boarding students are expected to check in at dinner, and so when they miss that, we like to be able to excuse that if we can. So it's
Okay.
important if you can just send an email or give us a call.
I make sure they let their coaches know also, because they'll be doing the head count as they get back on the bus.
If it's
Well,
after a
It
game.
wouldn't,
Oh,
it's
it's
like after
after-
practice or something.
We want you to
Oh,
spend
they-
time with your
oh,
kids.
sorry.
We want you to see
Sorry.
them. We want you to come and take them.
Okay.
We want you to spend time with them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But it's just helpful to us if we know. Then if they're late to study hall, we'll start to track them down. So if kids are missing, we track them down and account for kids at different points during the day. And so at 8 o'clock, if we're missing a boarder, we start to go through, are they in the health center, are they in the library, where are their friends, who are they with, eventually leading up to hopefully a call to you if you have them. So I'm giving that information ahead of time.
I didn't know you checked in at supper too, that's what I was.
Yeah, they
Okay.
have to check in between like 5:30 and 6:30 boarders. Again, just accountability, so we know that when sort of these last points were with this all.
Questions?
Will we check in at breakfast? Then my daughter has a free to start with plays.
That's on their own.
Yeah, and if your child has 2 free periods in the morning, I had a parent say they wouldn't be able to sleep for those. Yes, they would. Yes, they would. So, yeah, if they don't have to get up at 8, they don't have to get up.
Well, thanks all of you for coming in, and look forward to seeing you at games and sort of future activities. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's really helpful.
Yeah,
Good.
I'm glad.
Thank you.